Good evening. My name is Heidi Willis, and I am from the class of 1983, Milton Hershey School. Go Spartans. We want to welcome you to the Milton and Catherine Hershey Support Network. I created this support network as the result of an assignment for my master's degree at Shippensburg University. One of the things that we were asked to do in this class was create something to help someone else. I think one of the things that is unique, obviously, about Milton Hershey School is, we have a certain type of connection that a lot of people don't understand. And I think that one of the things that I'd like to see is after graduation to create more of a network so that we're mentoring and being there for each other. So that's kind of where this support network started. And tonight we have our very first speaker. I'm extremely happy and honored to have Virgil Whitsett from the class of 1981 be our first official speaker. And I don't want to go too far into this, but Virgil has an amazing amount of accolades, I think is the best way to say it. He's a former track state champion, past president of the Milton Hershey School Alumni Association. He's a veteran of the United States Air Force, and he continues to carry the Milton Hershey values into his personal and professional life. So, with that being said, Virgil, I'm going to turn the microphone, so to speak, over to you. And I'd like you to kind of just tell us a little bit about, your journey through the school, how you got there, and then maybe, about the transition that happened when you left the school into your adulthood, and what that looked like, and your challenges, your successes. So, first of all, thank you for your service to our country. And secondly, thank you for being here tonight. So take it away, Virgil.
Uh, Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Heidi. Thank you for having me. I'll just start with I'm a class of 1981, and I am an 8-year student. So I came in fifth grade at like 10 years old. Um, that was 1970, December 73. Um, Founders Hall was still new. We still had a Camelot room. Uh, Catherine Hall was still Catherine Hall. The old school was still pretty much just finished. It seemed like it was there longer, but it was kind of just finished. So um, when I started the first 4 years, one of the things was an all boys school. So I went from fifth grade to eighth grade as an all boys school. I don't remember the history, but I think when we were in eighth grade, there were female students in elementary. I believe that's the history. And then in ninth grade was probably when you came in, Heidi, when I was in ninth grade. Um, and then in 10th grade, we got women in our class. So 1981, we were the first class to graduate with a co-ed class. Um, and one of the things that I thought about looking back on it, because some things you just do and you don't really look back, is that I feel like everything that I use today, I learned in middle school. So Catherine Hall, um, back then, um, I remember my student home Oakley being pretty strict, a lot of rules, but you learn to um, fold your clothes, put things in the right place, make your bed, dust, do chores, learn to like them, um, and just kind of how to move through the world, listening to. um, someone who's giving you instruction. Because before that, when I was at home, I kind of was a latchkey kid, and I went to school, opened the door when I got home. My mom was at work. My siblings were out because I'm the youngest of eight, and I ate dinner if I wanted and put the dishes in the sink and went back to cartoons. It's not like that at Milton Hershey School. So you learn kind of discipline and how to be and do the right thing, I would say. Um, and that helped me later on. Um, the other thing that I picked up more in high school is in sports. I learned how to set goals. I mean, um, at one point, I may have said that I was one of the faster guys, but there was a time when I left middle school to high school that I wasn't the fastest guy or the biggest guy. And I barely made the track team. I didn't get cut, but I ended up being a high jumper my ninth grade year because all the other guys were faster. And then I grew in 10th grade and the roles were reversed. And during that time, um, I set a goal, like when I was in 11th grade, to like win a gold medal, like to be a champion. And I learned how to set medium goals and um, achieve those, and then get to eventually winning a gold medal. And what I also found out in that process, and I see it time and time again, when you set a goal for something, you sometimes get there like, oh, I'm a gold medalist. And then you find that you qualified for nationals. But when you go to nationals, you're not prepared. So you sometimes open a door when you get to the goal you want, like you're going for a master's degree, and then you find out talking to people that you could go get a PhD, but you can't do it that day. But the light bulb doesn't come on until after you reach the goal you set. Um, so that's one of the, you know, kind of two of the things that I take away because I I say now I love the discipline that I hated or didn't like so much when I was a student. Because all that time when I was a student, I didn't like some of the things I did, but I did. So then when I joined the military, it was easy. When I was in college, though, getting up for 8 o'clock class was not a thing, but getting to where I needed to be was. And all of that was that Milton Hershey kind of discipline and training um, and mentoring. Um, one of the things that I'd like to say, not what shaped me, but one of the things that I remember is that the whole time that I was at Milton Hershey, all the way through the end of my military career, because it was all consecutive, I never thought about like healthcare or where I was going to sleep. Like we were always taken care of. You always had a meal and a roof over your head. And then when I became a civilian and I had to start to, find a place and rent an apartment and do all those things, that I think was when like the transition really happened for me because Milton Hershey to college, much the same thing. College to the military, much the same thing. It wasn't until all of the kind of training wheels were off. So I didn't start that transition out of being the guy that could be where I needed to be until I was about 28 years old, believe it or
Okay.
not. Um, and and I look back on some of the things that I have done um, outside of setting a goal of being a champion. I never really looked at like a position at work or a position on a board as like a goal because I thought that um, a good way of being a good person was not to try to bring accolades to myself and fame to myself and notoriety to myself. And I think there was a lot of humility taught directly or by osmosis through this whole 8 years of Milton Hershey. Like, um, I think that like what Milton Hershey did was kind of humble, though he did it with millions of dollars. But you don't see the history book that said, he wanted to be like the biggest, richest man in the world. He just wanted to succeed at making chocolate. And then when Catherine asked him about opening a school for boys, help, I think his goal was to help if he could help one.
Mm,
So those are pretty
wow.
modest goals, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I think that to me is about everything that I can think of because everything I do is kind of based on this is like those things like humility. Um, I did set goals, but not personal goals, so to speak. Um, sure, work achieved it, but not. I didn't want to be the boss. I didn't want to be. I didn't want to have the big title. And when I had the big title, I would. I'm not the guy that would walk into a room and say, "Hi, I'm Virgil. I'm the president of an association." As a matter of fact, I never did that. Just that's just not me. Um, I don't know. I think I kind of went through most of how transition happened for me. Now, I guess now some people will go right from school to college and or school to work. So that transition probably a little harder because it's like immediate and you're like 18, 19 years old. You got to get an apartment, you got to get health care and do all these things that Hershey did for you. So
Yeah.
that's probably, I won't say I had it easy, but because I stayed or chose things that were very similar to the school, college, and college sports regimented, military regimented, and kind
Yeah.
of institutionalized. I stayed in a comfort zone for a long time. So, do you have any questions for me after listening to my kind of transition story?
I think that one of the things that I'm hearing you say is there was a tremendous amount of structure. And that's one of the things that I think is so vital for especially kids is structure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that kids thrive. I mean, I even know my own son. Um, you know, he he just thrives when there is this is you get up at this time, we eat at this time, you go to school at this time. And I think at one point, when he became older and was kind of on his own, he kind of went through this phase where he's like, oh, I had all that structure, I'm going to do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that for a while. Um, but he said to me after doing that for a while, he said, Mom, I really do like having my day planned. I feel more productive. I don't play video games all day. Um, and I think that was one of the things that was such a huge transition for me was going from the structure of Milton Hershey to having all of this, um, freedom, a lot of freedom
Yeah.
that you had to make choices about.
And I think I don't know if you played. Did you play any sports at school? We actually went to the same school different times.
Yeah. I played
So,
field hockey, basketball, softball. I was in it all.
and those things are very structured, but then a lot of people don't do that in college. And you do hear stories of people that go to college and they live an unstructured life outside of their grades because no one's telling you when to go to bed, when to get up, when to
Yeah.
study. But being an athlete, you kind of report over to the field house and you have somebody telling you this is the training plan. This is so you, I wasn't completely free because
Yeah.
I was attached to a varsity program. So when
Right.
you do that, you prolong that transition, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I watch people, even other Milton Hershey graduates, struggle without the structure.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just one of the things where I think um, may have mentioned it to you at other times, where one of the things that you'll see repeat over and over and over again is that we tend to do good and bad things alike. We're very good at getting into a relationship, for example, not so good at staying in a relationship. And that's not that we're not good partners, but I think um, a lot of us will have maybe forever unresolved things that make us kind of either distrust or um, just want to, kind of want to find something that like this isn't right. And because you were uprooted early, I think one of the negatives about going to the school at 10 is that I'm really comfortable with packing my bags and
Yeah.
like I I didn't learn how to stick it out at Milton Hershey. I learned how to improve my situation by moving. Um, and that's just what happened. It's not good or bad. I mean, if you count middle school, and I wasn't a bad kid, I was in 5 student homes, one in middle school for 4 years, and one every year in high school. But it was like didn't like the bars. So I went to Glee Club. Left Glee Club, went back to another student home. That home closed, become a girls' home, and went to another student home. So I wasn't moved like I wasn't moving for home life reasons, but I did move a lot.
Right.
Um, and I think some of our peers are pretty good at packing your bags and going, which mm, is that a good thing? I don't know. Like, because sometimes sticking it out in a bad situation is not the right solution.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, and I think we probably can find somebody that's in a similar situation to us because there's a lot of us, and even we're from the same state, we kind of run into similar issues, I think. And that's just my kind of take on running into a lot of different people that have graduated, and even some that didn't graduate that signed out, and that's a special group of people that I know because I never met one that said, "I'm glad I signed out." They all said, "I wish I would have stayed. Like I
Mm.
wish I would have graduated." And
Yeah.
some were very close to graduating, but I also I've only met former Milton Hershey students that didn't graduate that were successful. Like they eventually came back and they had families and good careers. And I think that's because they did get something.
Yeah.
They didn't get a ring, but they got something while they were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And you talk about moving. One of the things that was new for me when I went to Milton Hershey School was I stayed in the same student home my entire, time that I was at Milton Hershey.
God
And
bless you.
yeah, and previous to that, I think I moved 11 times by the
Hmm.
time I had gotten to Milton Hershey School. And, so for me, um, that was a new feeling of stability,
Stability. Right.
and it was a great feeling because
Hmm.
I didn't worry about where was I gonna be the next year and did I have to go make new friends again? Um, and I think that's one of the things that the school is pretty good about is trying to be consistent with rules. And
Hmm.
for me, I had the consistency of being in the same student home. I was so fortunate to have the house parents that I did, Gil and Marlene Murray. Gil,
Yeah.
he was a graduate of the Milton Hershey School.
Right.
So,
I had his brother John.
yep. So
Yeah,
he
both good
really
guys.
understood things because he had
Hmm.
been through the school as well. And he was real good about being consistent too.
Hmm.
So I think that's one of the things that I appreciated, and the way that translated for me as a parent is I had this desire to have my children remain in their school district from kindergarten until senior year. And
I did
not
the
everybody
same.
can achieve that, but I
Hmm.
was fortunate enough to be able to provide that for my children. And I really think that in a lot of ways, that helped and benefited them in a way that they had the same friends, they weren't uprooted. Um, so I feel like, kind of an offshoot of what we were originally talking about is, you know, not only did we learn things at Milton Hershey School, but I feel like it has impacted the way that I've raised my children in a very positive way.
So I have a question for you
Sure.
along that same line. So I thought that did growing up the way we did it make you like an Uber parent? Like one of the things that I wanted to do, for example, was my son, he's 23 now. I wanted to make sure that he knew that I loved him.
Yeah.
So to this day, if I walk out of the door and he's here, he says, I love you, Dad.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember when he was swimming, and I have a picture that I used to have as my screensaver. I came up behind him after like a race and I hugged him, and he was trying to squirm away, and I was holding on to him. I said, "Nope, I was always gonna love you." And I always hugged him like as a man. I wanted him to see that his father loved, like
Yeah.
physically loved him, like I'm here for you. And I think even though I had really good mentors, that was one of the things that I felt like I didn't have after I lost my dad.
Yeah.
And I also remember not having a dad, so I wanted to be that dad. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like I wasn't. Yeah, I was like, let's do puzzles. Let's go walk. Let's put them on my shoulders. I think I really stuck to that father, um, whatever I had in my head as a father, and having a son, which I would have probably been very similar if I had a daughter. But I
Right.
wanted to make sure they knew I like almost like I wanted to make sure he knew I was here. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did you feel like that raising
Um,
your kids?
well, let me just tell you, when I had my daughter, at that time I was running my own company.
Hmm.
And when I was running my own company, I had 28 employees. And I remember having my daughter, and about 2 months into being a mom, I had this realization that I didn't want to run my company anymore. I wanted to be a mom, and
Hmm.
I wanted to fully be present for my children. You know,
Okay.
I was fortunate to have a national company come in and buy my company. And, I became a consultant for them, which gave me a tremendous amount of time. So
Hmm.
I was able to do the things uh, for a long time, take them to swimming lessons, take them to the library, take them to the park. Um, just love on them, just
Hmm.
be there for them. One of the things that I do with my kids, like you say, is I constantly tell my kids, I love you, you
Hmm.
know, and I think, like I said, when I look at some of the um, the main things that, especially Catherine Hershey,
Hmm.
I look at the way she was raised and how some of the same um, practices got translated into Milton Hershey School.
Hmm.
Um, you know, First of all, the golden rule. I mean, that was always, Milton Hershey also. But, the idea of, and this may sound simple, but, the fact that you had Sunday clothes, you had school clothes, you had play clothes, you had barn clothes,
Hmm.
and, when the Sunday clothes didn't weren't Sunday clothes anymore. They became maybe play clothes.
Play clothes. Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's the simplest things that I remember from the school that I passed on to my children.
Hmm.
And I really had this insatiable desire to be there for my children.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think I don't know how many people I've talked to or how many people I've watched. And the one thing, you know, I'm the product of two divorces, so I know that I struggled at getting it right, relationship wise. But as a parent, I I'll stand up to anybody. I'll take that fatherhood role, and I watch people from from our peers, and everybody, they're hyper parents, like they're just in
right.
there. Like maybe they don't have a lot to give, but what they do, they give it. And I just think that's because that's the one piece that we couldn't get. No matter how hard you try, and the Murrays were bright people, you couldn't get that, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just figured I'd ask because I see it um, in so many of us. Like that's the one thing that we try to make sure. It's like, well, I'm going to be at the swim meet. I'm going to be at the track meet.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I'm going to read the papers. I'm going to put everything on the refrigerator. Um, and I think we do a darn good job at that,
Yeah.
passing that down to the next, or it's kind of like you would say breaking the cycle. Like
Yeah.
I'm assuming that our children will be good parents because they had good parents.
Yeah.
Um, we don't know. I'm
Yeah.
hoping, right?
Yeah.
But I did everything I could.
Well, and
It
the
sounds like
thing
you
for
did.
me is I came from, a divorce situation where my parents were divorced. Didn't see my dad that often. Um, Single mom, working. Eventually, she became disabled, and so when I went to the school, I learned a completely different way to live.
Hmm.
I had uh, and it's interesting because I remember my my house mother, Marlene Murray. One of the things that she used to do and I really disliked this. Every morning I would get up, and the first thing I would have to do if I wasn't in the barn is I'd have to go and I'd have to say, "Good morning, Mother Murray," and
Uh,
smile. And I,
ah,
I just,
that's a bit much.
I thought that that was just the stupidest thing ever. But you
Hmm.
know what? When I had kids, the first thing I did was I would say, "Good morning, Christiana. Good morning, Mason," and smile.
Hmm.
And I learned that from my house mother. And
Because
it
she
made,
was helping you set the day.
she was,
Yeah.
she was helping me,
Yeah.
and those are the little
Slightly
things
cringy.
that just, you don't realize what you're getting
Hmm.
from the school. But
Yeah, that's
it
that's the
was
thing.
it was such a different environment than what I had come from.
hmm and I remember, like, I look back. I don't know why. I look back on like little things, like back in the 70s and the 80s when we were at
Yeah,
school. Remember the rules of don't walk on the grass and things like that. And I think like, wow, like perfectly fine grass. Why don't we? Why can't we walk on it? And you look at the school now and you watch because the TL students they walk from what used to be the elementary division through the
yeah,
tunnel, past the pond, and on to well to senior hall, which was in the field that we had back then. And you can see certain paths where they've walked because they're no longer telling them not to walk on the grass. And I thought, like, well, why were they, like, so they don't, they found other things that are more important. So they don't stress walking on the grass. But why did we get that? And I thought, like, well, if there was a reason, and if someone actually like engineered like a lesson, it would be that there's no shortcuts in life.
yeah,
Like, okay, because I had to go from Oakley to Catherine Hall, and there was that big circle, and there was that nice field with freshly mowed grass that I could go from you know, the corner of the creek across the, field, and a lot quicker than the round.
right.
But there's no shortcuts.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
There's no shortcuts in
leave on
life.
time,
Yeah,
right? So they didn't set out to teach that lesson, but that's what I take from it.
yeah.
And guess what I don't do today?
You don't take any shortcuts
Or walk on the grass.
or walk on the grass.
You see what I mean?
Yeah,
Like those little things stick with me. There's no one there's no one to give me extra dishes if I walk on somebody's grass.
right.
But I walk down to the sidewalk and I walk up the sidewalk to
Yeah,
this day.
yeah,
Um, it's weird the things that you hold on to. I guess you're going to say forever,
yeah,
and the things like couldn't wait to get to senior hall. 'Cause now you came in senior hall,
yeah,
but if you were in the intermediate division, and I talk about my time at Oakley, and everything had its place, and you had a cup, and your name was there, and a towel, and toothbrush. But the thing is, you could go into any student home; they all looked the same.
yeah,
They were all show ready.
yeah,
Like someone could drive up to a middle school student home and say, "We'd like to show, family, the Jones family, your house," and they'd say, "Come on in.
yeah,
Here's how. This is where the boys sleep. This
yeah.
is where they play." And they wouldn't walk downstairs and see like sneakers in the middle of the floor with a jacket in the mudroom.
Right, right.
Like they didn't have to even think like, "Sally, go downstairs and check it, make sure it's okay."
Yeah,
They walked down with confidence, knowing that all those coats were going to be hung up and all those shoes were going to be in the
yeah,
right place. And they were.
yeah,
And that's why, for me, the regimented institutional type things that I did were easy for me because I learned those lessons early and they stuck with me like walking in the grass. But it's just, I remember those things like it's yesterday.
yeah.
You know?
Well, and one of the things that I've learned is like, for example, I have to make my bed in the morning. I mean, there
But
is
why? But why? No one's
be
watching.
exactly because one of the things that I have learned is organization is a direct link to mental health. You know,
hmm
when things are in order, um, you know, when things have a place. I look at my bed and I come home and I'm like, oh, wow, it feels good when you have things in order. And that's something I learned at the school,
hmm
and my kids, both of them are, everything's in order. Not obsessive, but to the point where, um, it helps you just feel good about yourself, good about your environment, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I think for me, I have this uncanny um, trait of knowing where everything is.
Yeah,
So, like my keys go in the same spot every night, to
yeah,
the point where if I had my keys in my pocket and I went into my bedroom and I reached in and touched my keys, I have to, it's not that OCD, I have to go back and put them in the bowl.
yeah,
Like if I go to the bowl and the keys aren't there, I'll panic for like half a second because that's where they should be.
yeah,
Like everything has
yeah,
it's not, I have a lot of stuff, but I even know underneath my piles where everything is.
yeah,
What piles are bills, what piles are work. Um, and that's kind of like a spin on the old Milton Hershey traditions, but
yeah,
everything in my life has a place. In my car, like if I reach for my license and registration, it's in the same spot. It's not just
yeah,
in the glove box, it's on the little shelf above,
right,
in the little card holder,
yeah,
right? Like going like I know what's in the armrest. I have like weird little things, but I kind of, I smile inside. I like who I've become,
yeah,
and I do know where I came from.
yeah,
Um, and there's no way you could pass on everything about Milton Hershey. Like you could talk to it like your kids. Um, my son, he's a different kind of guy, but the things that I worked hard at with him, like showing him you know, my love for him, he got that. I didn't push him on folding his clothes, so he does it.
yeah.
Um, but he lives out of a laundry basket. Okay, so
Let
oh
let me
well.
ask you this, Virgil. I know that you've been very involved with the Alumni Association, and tell me, first of all, why you've been so involved, and secondly, how that has impacted you, and your life.
Um, so I think a lot of people when you see them involved in like alumni affairs for anything, like anything that they've been a part of, it's because you leave a little part of that when you go. Um, and I actually had a classmate ask me because one of the other things that I've done is I've been class agent for 81 for a couple of years. Um, and I told her simply, like, this is all I have. Like, I just spent Thanksgiving with my family, and that's my family. They're great people. I love them. But my Milton Hershey family and the Milton Hershey experience, or just Milton Hershey, is all I have. Like, not only is it what shaped me, but there isn't anything without that.
Yeah,
So getting involved with the alumni was just a way of giving back and hoping that other young graduates, and even when we get a chance to deal with the students, that they're getting what I got
yeah,
or more.
yeah,
Because once you land in Hershey, everybody got there for a reason.
yeah.
Like none of us got there because we like chocolate and we like going to the park every Friday night. Those are good perks.
Yeah,
So since we all got there for a reason, we were built from that.
yeah,
And for me, the give back is such an easy thing. And it just, I love being around when I can be around. And I give the time that I can when I can give it because um, I've learned over the years um, the teacher learns more than the student,
Yeah.
and the volunteer gets more than the person you're serving.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the actual thing that you're doing,
Yeah.
but I don't know I don't even know what that thing is.
Yeah.
Uh, Feel good. Um, your heart gets full. Emotionally, it's like a recharge. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's hard for me to describe what it is, but whatever that is, I get it.
Yeah.
And once I started volunteering, that thing, that energy, I'm gonna call it energy. I kept. I wanted to have that in my
Yeah.
life. Like I felt like.
I'll tell you a little story. I actually had an intern with my company from the school, and he was great. We developed a great mentor-mentee relationship. And after he graduated, he had this wonderful scholarship, went to school and went to the university, and um, he wasn't having a good experience.
Hmm.
And so because of that mentor relationship, he reached out to me, and he said, I'm going to quit school, you know and he was going to lose a scholarship for Milton Hershey School. And I came in and I said, no, you're not. I
Hmm.
said, no, you're not. You're not losing that scholarship. I said, you're going to move in with me. You're going to go to Hack for 2 years or however long it takes until you decide what university you're going to go to and find the one that fits you. And that's exactly what he did. Moved in with my family, and I became like a son to me. And to this
Hmm.
day, still keep in touch. But eventually he made his way, and he didn't lose that scholarship. But if he didn't have my family and I, he probably would have just quit school. And I think that's one of the things that I have come to really value is how important we as alumni are to our younger alumni.
Hmm. Yeah, when you look at like you had the Murrays and I had one um, Murray also, but in middle school there were so many alumni house parents at the time, and I mean it was from the day that I got there, and even honorary alumni. I remember Mr. Reale, if you remember him.
Yeah, yeah,
He he never had me as a student,
okay,
but I met him at clothing fitting like the day I got there.
yeah,
And whenever he saw me, he always talked to me. And I wasn't the best skater, but when we were skating, like always, all the way through graduation, like he was just like a cheerleader in my corner.
yeah,
And like in, I was in scouts, but never in anything that he actually did. Like no field trip, no, but just in passing, whenever I saw him, he had a kind word and he would say something nice to me. And I was just one of his kids, and I wasn't even in his student home. Um, and there was Ben Helm and just a whole bunch of other guys that I knew were alumni,
yeah,
and they were at the wrestling meets with us. They were, like we had a lot of alumni support
yeah,
in the '80s, and I think now with the peers that you were on the board and I'm on the board, we try to do that. The student activities are a little bit different now.
yeah,
It's a larger student body, but we do really try to, when asked, kind of go in force and like show up. Like I know that there's um, Go Red program where they go to read to the younger ones, and I mean that'll just blow you away because when you see little ones, like they're just so like the baby Spartans I call them. They're just like so willing to, you know, ask questions and just soak up your energy. If you go read you'll be like, I gotta go and volunteer more. Like, what else can I do?
Yeah.
It's kind of it's like it will just get you.
Yeah.
And again, you get more to me volunteering. You get a lot more. I just um, fed homeless people turkeys right before um, one of my fraternities. We did like 100, 200 turkeys, and we just lined up, stacked them all on the table, and I was talking to the guys, and I'm like, where do these people come from? They said, oh, just word of mouth. We gave them all out.
Wow.
Because there's need out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, we kind of high fived each other, but, you know, we're not looking for a gold star or a blue
Yeah.
ribbon. It's just something that if you can do it, if you can help, you help.
Yeah. Well, and
And
I think that's one of the things that, I mean, we had so many cheerleaders at the school, so
hmm
many adults who were in our corner, so to speak.
yeah,
Um, and I think that for me has translated into how can I serve other people? I feel in a lot of ways that because of Milton Hershey, it has influenced how I see my purpose in life. Um,
hmm
you know, that we are to help others. I mean, Milton and Catherine Hershey, the ultimate, cheerleaders for what, over 11,000 of us now. Um,
right.
and
Yeah.
they have changed so many people's lives. And so much of what I've gotten out of being a Milton Hershey grad is helping other people because I was helped.
And I think that's another thing that you'll see quietly, silently in our ranks is people that just um, have compassion.
Yeah.
Um, and I hope that everybody had a cheerleader or two or mentors. I mean, I know during our time, there's like Lou Webster. He knew everybody. He was
Yeah.
everybody's class agent. But um, we had those people
Yeah.
at that time,
Yeah.
and that's what makes us who we are. Like, that's
Yeah.
why you're doing this program. That's why you're in the field that you're in. Um, it probably all you can look back and say that probably this time at Milton Hershey gave me these thoughts, and that's why I acted on them in this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is I remember it didn't matter who it was on staff. I mean, I remember Eden Fry. Do you remember Eden Fry?
I remember the name.
Yeah, he was the janitor
hmm
of the school, and he was one of my biggest cheerleaders, and he wasn't my teacher. He wasn't, um, my coach, nothing. But every time I walked by, he knew my name. He encouraged me in everything that I did. He used to take us to his house. A whole bunch of us girls would go to his house, and his wife Rosemary would feed us dinner or something, and um, so it didn't matter who it was at Milton Hershey School. I found that they really cared, and I think that the school is really good about finding people who really care about you.
Yeah, and I think you don't stay at that school for a career without having that.
Yeah,
Like, you just can't. I worked there but I can't tell you what everybody made. Like, you don't go there for money,
yeah,
right? They're good benefits, but it's it's the rest of it. It's like
yeah,
I remember basketball championships, track championships, and just like
yeah,
the whole school, the whole community, and Spartan pride is still a big thing today. And I think it's grown, like it maybe waned as like kids had more freedom, so they went home a lot. I remember going back and the band kept getting smaller and smaller. And now I think those things are changing where kids are taking advantage of these opportunities because they definitely
Yeah.
have more than we did.
Yeah.
And I don't have any regrets, but I do wish I would have taken advantage of more things.
Yeah.
Like I just I remember it was kind of like if you said I want to play an instrument, boom, there was an instrument and someone to
Yeah.
teach you. And if you wanted to play a sport, okay, you could make it on the team. You may not be a starter, but everybody played. Everybody, had opportunities to do things like
Yeah.
there was scouting and all these things. And I took
Yeah.
advantage of a lot of them, especially in middle school. But I think I probably could have taken advantage of like a couple more opportunities. Um, but that's just me looking back, thinking like, wow, I should have done this, or I wish I could have done that. Not in the way like I think that they got more than us,
Yeah.
but I think just in what we had to offer, we I could have applied myself a little bit more, especially as a student, because I know I was more into sports than I was studies.
Yeah. Me
But
too.
I was a good student, but I was
Yeah.
more athlete than student. Student athlete wasn't a really 50-50
Yeah.
blend for me,
Yeah.
but it's good to think about.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that was so great about Milton Hershey is you had so many opportunities.
Hmm.
I remember when I lived in, outside of Philadelphia, I really wanted to play the violin. And
Hmm.
my family couldn't afford a violin, you know? So when you say more opportunities, that I mean, it just felt like when we got to the school, um, like the sky's the limit, you could achieve whatever you put your mind to, and you had the support there because you had so many opportunities. And I know now they have even more opportunities, especially with going, to college and having the support. Um,
And the certificate programs that have been implemented, like so many of the graduates graduate with um, this certificate and like multiple certificates, whether it's healthcare certificates or some
yeah,
kind of Microsoft or something, and their
yeah,
high school diploma.
yeah,
Um, some of the kids in the like the medical programs are interning with like the ambulance squad or going. We always had like the food service going to the hotel, but now they help cook in the big kitchen.
yeah,
And summer interns is programs where the kids are paired up with Hershey like management,
yeah.
and they have time, and then they even swap kids Hershey and Milton Hershey.
Really?
Like that would have never happened. we, but we even have those kind of programs. So it's just and kids going overseas, like they have a group of kids that go overseas to different places every year, like all of those things. And I just think like, well, if the 1980 Virgils dropped into 2020, you know, Milton Hershey, do I join or do I sit on the sideline?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like, 'cause I was trying to go along to get along, and I think now the kids are like, no, I want to go overseas. I want to play the violin. I want to learn how to play the guitar. I want to, you know, form a group
yeah,
and do different things for their whatever parents' weekend. It's I think I see them taking more advantage of it. I'm thinking like that. if I could have told myself anything, I'd
Yeah.
go back and tell the, 12-year-old self, like, get more involved.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
and I know we're going to wrap up here soon, but I think the two takeaways um that I really value about the school is uh there's a real commitment to preparing Milton Hershey students to succeed. Um, and what a gift that is that the school gave me. I mean, I was in the business department. I graduated in the business track, and I went on to get my own business and start my own business and have a very successful business.
Hmm.
And the other takeaway is, you know, we really learned how to treat each other. The golden rule, I know that there may be some differences of opinion when it comes to, how that looks or how that experience transpired. But for me, um, having a house father who was a graduate of the school, um, we really did live by the golden rule, you know?
Yeah, I think I concur on both of those points. I think um, as I watch the current graduates
Yeah,
and I see all of their accolades and achievements and their destinations, I think the school is doing a good job preparing them for the next step.
yeah,
Um, I think that, and I want to say that this year, because every year they have like a school motto or mantra, and I think it's all about the school pledge,
yeah, yeah,
which is um, the golden rule. And when I look at like the speakers and how they um, kind of speak to those things, and I'm like, wow, if I was ever going to speak, like, how could I speak to that? But you don't realize how much you live those rules in a
yeah,
positive way because of
right.
your quote upbringing,
Yeah,
because it's second nature. So I
yeah,
think for what the school has always tried to do, which is create productive citizens, I call it, and citizens that were kind to people.
yeah,
I think they achieve that goal, in buckets.
yeah,
Um, the transition part is not. That's what the TL is for,
yeah,
and I hope that that helps.
yeah,
But there's really nothing that the school can do. It's kind of like you have to let the baby bird fly.
yeah,
On the other side, the transition, and that's probably just like a self journey.
yeah,
Um, but I see it looks like you know when I take the eye test, it looks like the school's done well and given the students now better tools than we
yeah,
had
yeah,
to
absolutely.
transition.
Yeah,
Like
and
if like
it's
that's
like
literally
that.
what it says, transitional
Yeah,
living.
yeah,
And I think that though I don't know how it all works, but I look at it, they cook for themselves, they kind of learn budgeting. So that's another tool that they got or they're getting now
yeah,
that's helping with that transition that we started with.
yeah.
So yeah, thank you for having me. I enjoy. I can talk about Milton Hershey forever,
I
and
know.
but I enjoy being asked to. Um, like I said, it's a personal journey, but I don't. I have no problem, no embarrassment in saying that I love the school. I love
Yeah,
what it did for me. I I know every day that I was supposed to be there,
yeah.
and that I got something, many things from it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I
So
can't tell you how much I appreciate you being on today, and I feel
mhm.
like I could talk to you forever. I mean, I know
Mhm.
before this, this morning we just touched base about tonight, and I think we talked for an hour and a half.
Yeah, we
Um,
did.
you know, and I just I appreciate you for who you are and for what you've done, especially for the alumni, being a veteran. So thank you for being here tonight. And
You're
we're
welcome.
gonna we're gonna put this on online, so hopefully some of our um, brothers and sisters can
I
check it
won't read
out.
the comments.
You never
Uh,
know. I mean, somebody may learn something from this, which is what I'm
well,
hoping that the support network will do is to empower others and especially to make Milts feel like we are connected. Um, because once we leave the school, I don't want people to think they're alone. I want them to know that they're part of the bigger picture and to never forget that.
right. So, and I'll just leave you with if someone reaches out to you and they want to talk to me, you know how to get a hold of me. Um, I I do, let people bend my ear, and sometimes that conversation is all people need
Yeah,
to um like air things out, get things off their chest, like bounce an idea. And
yeah,
I've done that before. So if you need that, you just let me know.
I will.
But
I definitely will.
thank you. Thank you
So
for
once
reaching out to
again,
me.
thank you very much. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I'm gonna try. You do the same.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.